Hey guys, it's Sarah. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make these Mickey Wreath inspired Mickey ears. So the reason for this tutorial is because I posted a picture of this beautiful Mickey Wreath on my Instagram and a bunch of people were like, oh, can you show us how to recreate that? So I can, yes. But I decided to tweak it a little bit and make it an ear video. How I show you how to make the ears is exactly how you would make the wreath. So if you're wanting to make the wreath, still watch the tutorial because it'll walk you through how to make it. But I show you how to make the ears as well. That way if you're wanting to make both, you can have both. And I think it did a pretty great job down to the actual bow, which is the exact same ribbon, which I found at Hobby Lobby. So anyway, this is a super simple wreath. This wreath retails for about $45. The downside to making this wreath is one small hitch that I hit. So if you have a Cricut machine or if you have a Silhouette 3, you can actually use those to cut out each of these leaves using the deep cut blade. I have a Silhouette Cameo and I bought the deep cut blade without reading because, you know, that's what I do. But it does still work, but it will not cut through felt. All the way felt is like one of the hardest substances to... Substances? Why did I choose that word? Whatever. It's one of the hardest fabrics to cut through just because it's so thick. Just some advice, if you're going to use those machines to cut the felt, you need to get some kind of paper to bond onto the back of the felt. So for example, there's I'll put a picture of it up here because I can't remember what it's called. I want to say it's called Heat and Bond. And then you can also try freezer paper. I've seen some people it works for, some people it doesn't. But you need that paper on the back so it'll stick to your cutting mat and won't move around and get stuck inside the blade. That's just if you're going to do it that way. I actually show you how to just cut them out with scissors. It is very tedious, but it's not hard. And if you just turn on the TV and cut while you're watching TV, you'll be done before you know it. I am very sorry for the delay. This video was actually supposed to go up last week, but I lost my memory card, which for any of you who have a YouTube channel, that is like one of the most stressful things ever because at any given time I usually have about 5 videos on my memory card, and the thought of losing 5 videos, I was like, oh my god. Now none of these videos are complete except this one, but even just losing the pieces of it, it's like, oh my gosh, what? I found my memory card, thank goodness, and I'm able to get this video up to you guys today. Yeah, so I hope you guys like these ears. They're really easy, really cute. I do use a sewing machine in the tutorial, but you can absolutely do these by hand. I will link below my Beauty and the Beast ear tutorial where I show you how to do it by hand. It's the same concept, but a sewing machine's a little bit faster. If you haven't already, please subscribe. I make videos like this about twice a week, and make sure you ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time a new video goes up. In the comments below, please let me know any ear requests for the future or any DIYs for the future that are Disney themed or not Disney themed. Just suggestions, honestly. I'm sorry my videos have been a little more inconsistent than usual. Being pregnant has been wonderful, but at the same time, any of you who have been pregnant before, you know that it takes a toll on your immune system. And I just keep getting colds and sinus infections and all kinds of stuff. So I'm feeling a little bit better today, so I decided to go ahead and film the intro and get this video complete. Thank you so much to those of you who have subscribed so far. Please stay tuned because I do have some really exciting videos coming up for you for the rest of the holiday season. And without further ado, let's get into the tutorial.
So for this project, you're going to need green felt, fabric scissors, a hot glue gun, hot glue sticks, red buttons, the ear templates, which are in the description box below, the holly and the center cutout of the wreath template, also in the description box below, some red ribbon, a fine point Sharpie, a 1-inch headband, pins, and a sewing machine. The first step to this process is that you're going to need to print out the ear templates, which I have linked in the description box below, and trace the ear cutting line template. This is the biggest of all the templates. You're going to need 4 total, 2 per ear. Then once you've done that, you need to cut them out and pin them together. If you're wanting to make the wreath version and not the ear version, obviously what I would suggest is finding a large circle in your house that's about 18 inches across and tracing that for the template as opposed to the ear template, and then doing the same thing for the ear parts. So once you have them pinned, then you can grab the sewing line template and you can trace that line onto the ear. This is just to give you a line to follow while you're stitching. So next you're going to need to make the circle in the center of the wreath that you're going to cut out. I found this giant googly eye and went ahead and traced it. I actually have this linked in the description box below as well, along with the template I used for the holly shape. So then you want to go ahead and just cut out the center of the wreath using your fabric scissors. And then you will go ahead and head over to your sewing machine. So you're just going to follow the sewing line that you marked earlier. Take your time, make sure you go slow, because otherwise you're going to lose that nice rounded ear shape. You'll end up with kind of a funky shape, so make sure you're not rushing. And then obviously you want to load your machine with a matching thread to the felt. I know that the felt I'm using is darker than the one on the actual Mickey Wreath that I showed you guys, but it's just what I had on hand. You can find lighter green felts at craft stores if you'd like to. So after you've sewn the outer edge of the ear, then you're going to go ahead and sew around the center opening of the wreath, just that circle that you cut out. I don't have a guideline for this, but just keep the needle as close to the edge as you can while still stitching. And then this is what it looks like when you're done. I went ahead and trimmed off the excess just beyond the seam line. So now you're going to take some stuffing and go ahead and stuff the inside of your ears to the fullness that you like. I used a marker just to like shove the stuffing all the way around the ear if you're having some trouble getting your fingers in. And then once you have it all stuffed, you want to kind of smush it out and make sure that it's all even. And then I just went in with my hot glue gun and closed up the bottom of the ear. You could stitch the bottom of the ear, but I think the hot glue is a little better because it gives you a nice flat surface to attach to the headband. Sorry, I know I got a little out of frame here. So once you have it all closed up, trim off any strings that are still there, and then you're going to move on to cutting out the holly leaves, the most fun part. So I actually have a paper template I was using, but I couldn't find it, so I just continued tracing with like the fabric holly leaves that I had. But you're just going to cut them out one at a time and follow your template. These don't need to be perfect. You really can't tell if they're not all identical, but you're going to need about 22 for each side of the ear. So if you want to do the back, then you need to make sure you cut enough out for the back as well. Start off by cutting a few of them in half and then drawing the little line that makes it look like a leaf, like the vein. I don't know what that is. And then put a little glue on the back and start these around the outer rim of the ear. So once you've got all the rim done, it's going to look like this. And then you're going to go in with another layer with the full-size leaves. So when you're doing the full-size leaves, you kind of want them to like layer on top of each other, but occasionally I would put one like not perfectly aligned, like if that makes sense. Like see how I left a gap there and then I just glued one in the center? I just felt like it made it look a little bit more like the wreath and a little bit more randomized, I guess. But if you're not sure how to do this, I would suggest laying them out before you start hot gluing. And this is what it looked like when I was all done. I did decide to add one more leaf on the bottom after comparing it to the other ear that I'd already made. So now you get to go in with the buttons and make the little Mickey heads. Obviously you want to glue on the larger button first and then go in with the ears. Check your angles because this one I glued on sideways for some reason. I'm not really sure why. And then obviously you want to check your spacing so that you don't end up with two Mickeys like right next to each other. And that's pretty much it for the ears. So now for the bow. I found this awesome ribbon at Hobby Lobby. It's literally identical to the one on the wreath. And it was 50% off, so even better. So I cut about an 11-inch ribbon, and then I just folded the insides and hot glued them. The only downside to this ribbon is it frays really, really bad. So make sure that you use a good bit of hot glue to prevent fraying after you've attached it. And then go ahead and pinch the bow in the center and add a dot of hot glue. And once you've done that, you're going to take a thin piece of this ribbon. Okay, so I'm showing you how to do this with the ribbon with the stitching on the side, but I ended up going back in with like a red satin ribbon because I could not get this centerpiece to stop fraying. So I am showing you with this ribbon, but I was having too much trouble with it. So if you have another red ribbon, I would suggest using a different red ribbon for this center part. As you can see, I'm struggling. But basically I tried to like fold the insides to make it a little poofier, and then I also was trying to prevent it from fraying, which I don't know if that just made it worse or what. And this is basically what it looked like when I was done. So now for placement, as you guys know if you've been watching my channel for a while, I put my ears about 2.5 inches apart, and I've gotten pretty good at just centering them myself, but you can also use the edge of the table to line it up with the headband just to make sure you're centering. And then I usually mark with a little pen where I want each ear to go. And then apply a generous amount of hot glue on the bottom and press down the ear firmly. What I loved about these ears was that the little holly leaves kind of hang over the headband, which I thought was super cute. And then go in with your bow, put a little bit of hot glue on the bottom, and press it down to the headband, and you are all done. This is what they looked like when they were finished, and I super duper love them. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and don't forget to leave requests for future videos in the comments.
If you guys have any, I don't know what I was going to say, and I always like string my sentences together and then I can't cut it. Thank you so